Every year, Chris Roberts, CEO and creator of Star Citizen, leaves a little letter for the people to talk about his thoughts, what might have gone on behind the scenes, and what's coming up in the future. Oops, that's him. A lot of these letters are over-optimistic. There's going to be a lot in here that might or might not happen. There's going to be a lot in here that may paint a pretty picture of the past year. I'm going to try and take a more neutral approach here. Some people might say I'm being a little hateful or negative. Some people might say I'm being too positive. Either way, my biases will be on show, I'm sure. But the point of this letter is to give us some perspective from somebody who honestly doesn't get to talk that much around this game anymore, for different reasons. And to kind of, I think, give us an update on the health of the game. Problem is, they don't give us the best numbers. Like, there was one letter maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I want to say, that it had some graphs. It had at least some relatively useful numbers about unique players throughout months or years. And I think that was a great one, but they don't really do that as much anymore. So I think that's a missing opportunity. Either way, we will be going over last year's or this year's soon, and the rest of the year behind that. But first, let's look at this letter from the chairman for 2025. As we wrap up 2025, I want to take a moment to reflect on the year and what it's meant for all of us. 2025 became the year of playability for Star Citizen. I think it's not stability, it's playability. That people keep getting that mixed up. It was a year when more people played than ever before and spent more time in the verse than at any point in our history. That momentum did not happen by chance. It came from a focused effort to improve quality of life, performance, and reliability, and to make the gameplay experience more engaging and more rewarding to return to. This is true. Doesn't mean that the game is great or perfect, but there is definitely a focus to try and make the game a little bit more palatable. I mean, it was literally, that was what they said in the beginning of this year, that their focus was to stop putting new features in and creating instability, hindering performance, and impacting overall gameplay. Instead, they wanted to focus more on decoupling feature development from content creation and general fixes, meaning no new features in the content delivery pipeline, which we kind of saw because we missed out on features quite a bit. What we didn't see was the ePTU being used. But outside of that, they did start to focus a little bit more on stability, predictability, and most importantly, what is mentioned here, content. As much as people come back for the fixes, a lot of folks came back because they felt like there was more to actually do in the areas that they were interested in: cargo hauling, mining, salvage, stuff like that. He said, "We started the year with 2 goals as a company: to improve stability and quality of life in Star Citizen while continuing to deliver regular content updates, and to push Squadron 42 towards beta and release in 2026. I'm happy to say we've made great progress on both fronts." I can't speak towards that second one. Maybe he will more here. All right, here's the Star Citizen part. 2025 saw a number of important pieces come together. We released not 1 but 2 star systems in a single year, welcomed the return of the beloved landing zone Levski, and added new locations around the verse, opening more space to explore and spend time in. Server meshing was the key technology that made all this possible. With the release of 4.0.1 to the live environment on January 28th, we moved into a bigger, more performant and stable universe. Took a little bit to figure itself out, but okay. And while there were a few hiccups with some legacy systems like the elevators and air traffic control that were built long before server meshing was conceived, server meshing itself has been working flawlessly since the beginning. Was it flawless? A testament to the design and execution of the system by our network backend, engine, and gameplay teams. I'll double down on that. They did a great job. Can't say that it felt super flawless, but the fact that it's working incredibly well. I don't think it even needed to be flawless when it came out, but I think the folks working on the tech proved themselves. It took a while, but they proved themselves this year, and that might be the biggest highlight of the whole year. Every day, it handles tens of thousands of players playing concurrently in shared instances of up to 700 players. Okay, so even right there, he's whipping out the idea that there are tens of thousands of people playing concurrently every day. Is there any other way to translate this sentence other than they're reaching multiple tens of thousands of people every day playing the game at the same time? Because that's pretty incredibly healthy for a game in this state, if true. I would have the most confidence if that's true. Like if I was running this game and there were genuinely 20 to 30,000 people coming in playing at the same time every time, that would be incredible. We get stats later on. Okay, we'll get back to that then. For something that simulates everything to the level of detail we do at the scale we do in first and third person, this is a truly mind-boggling achievement. Most other multiplayer games top out at between 50 to 100 players in a much more contained space than we allow you to explore in Star Citizen. And the MMOs with high player counts in the same instance don't simulate and render the world to the extent we do. As multiple servers now manage our vast universe, the individual server performance has greatly increased, creating a much better experience for all of you. And due to its design with a separate service that tracks the state of the universe for all servers and clients, it allows us to quickly recover from a client or server crash without losing your progress, which is a huge quality of life win. This has been a great change to the game, one of the biggest changes as well. It's a knock-on effect of server meshing, but basically, it's actually pretty funny. They laid this out with a really nice previs back in 2021, and it shows you exactly what happens with server meshing when there's a crash. But the idea is basically that we have, so the game is here, running on the servers, right? And these servers are meshed. They're all performing and running the same exact thing. It's just that any one of them has authority over the other. But these servers use the replication layer to communicate with us. So that's how we play the game. We connect through the game, through the replication layer, and the replication layer also simultaneously pulls everything from the database to populate the servers. So it separates the actual database and communications and all the stuff going on, or not the stuff going on, but all the information from the actual simulation, which means that the simulation can die at any point and you don't lose the information. So whenever there's a server crash, that's why all your stuff is still there when you get back. Whenever you have a client crash, that's why a lot of times you'll end up back in the same spot. It doesn't work every time, and it can be incredibly annoying, but they released this little animation just to show that while the servers are going down, all that information is still good. You still have that flow of tech that keeps you in the loop. Other games and other services do this kind of thing, but this was such a big part of holding back Star Citizen. The instability, the lack of scale, the inability for them to start building services on top of an actual backend rather than whatever they were using from CryEngine back in the day. It made a big difference, and I don't like he's not overplaying it here. It's probably the most important thing of the year. I would love to hear more communication on the next parts of it, but I do think that they've done a really good job with getting server meshing into the game, and it has kind of proven the model that they're going after. Let's see, where were we? I think I read all that. We also shipped more mission content and in-game events than ever before this year. This is the more controversial and maybe more subjective part. That included large-scale moments like teaming up to take on an irradiated Apex Valakar, or coming face-to-face with the Yormandi, as well as, or my favorite way of pronouncing it, the Yormandi, as well as longer running storylines that helped add depth and context to the verse. The environments continued to evolve as well. Expanded weather effects and planetary conditions helped make locations feel more distinct and atmospheric, while improvements to player interaction, oh my god. Okay, one thing I'll say here is that player interaction sucks massive. Thank you, music. That was great timing. The freaking player interaction, I don't know how, but it feels like it's gotten worse. Like, I do really love that we have the key prompts. I like being able to key rebind. I don't mind the wheel. I think the wheel's actually fairly solid. But the fact of the matter is, like, half the time that I press the F button and go to do something with that interaction wheel, it just disappears. And I don't know why. Am I doing something wrong? Is the game glitching? Why can't I just easily use the interaction menus in this game? I think they've made progress on that. You know, after the whole, we're taking stuff over from Squadron 3.23 update, stuff like that's coming over. But two of the things that they brought over, the star map and the interaction systems, are simultaneously improvements on what they used to be, and also awful. Just because they're not being supported. I think the problems that are with them are just like the small glitches and stuff that were brought in and never fixed. And I'm sorry, that's a little rant. It's not even important. I just saw it here and I got a little triggered. Let's continue. all that stuff, and AI contributed to a more intuitive experience. We also expanded the vehicle lineup, introducing 24 new vehicles while continuing to improve the ships and ground vehicles already in your hands. 24. I need to update that on my thumbnail. I'm just now realizing that I think I put the wrong number of ships. I did not put the number of ships. Look at that. I almost put the number of, I almost put 27 on here. Yeah. No, I think 27's next year. I also got that wrong. 24 new vehicles is insane. It's crazy. But you know what? I'm not mad at it because they took care of, this is not what we want. We want colonial movers. They took care of quite a few backlog ships. They got us the Perseus, the Paladin. So this guy covers all of the ship backlog. Really nice resource to have. Yeah, so they got the Perseus in there this year. They got the Paladin in there. The Apollo came in. I want to say there were a couple others from the backlog that came in. I guess the Paladin was only introduced in 2024, so that's not a huge deal. But they got quite a few ships in that were of the backlog nature, which I think was good. Most importantly, they didn't introduce any concept ships. That's huge. I think that's a big, they really like, that's a good first step. They got to get around to eliminating more of the ship sales. Again, this isn't to say like to do things right. Yeah, the Idris, good call. This isn't to say it's right or wrong to sell the ships. I know that's going to start a huge debate. My point is like, if they do want to do what they're doing, which is attracting more people, and clearly they're trying to attract more people at this point than the niche they were going for before, they do need to continue to project a better image. And I think this year they focused a lot on that. I'm surprised he didn't mention that here. Maybe he will later. Supporting all of this was significantly increased pace of delivery compared to previous years. In 2025, Star Citizen delivered 11 major patches, more than 40 live publishes, 147 PTU builds, and several tech previews. All in the last quarter. Like I said, the tech preview was a really important part of this year's strategy, but they actually didn't do a great job with this. They were not able to utilize it until September. I'm guessing because they had to get so much stuff fixed during that first 6 to 8 months. And they were busy with Squadron stuff. But this was, I think, a bit of a letdown. However, the 11 major patches was huge, and I think a big part of them breaking $150 million earned this year. We closed out the year with the introduction of engineering in Star Citizen 4.5, adding new layers of interaction, decision-making, and responsibility to managing your ship. Engineering is an important step towards the deeper systemic experience I've always wanted to build, where coordination and your crew truly matter. While future systems such as Maelstrom's physically based materials and destruction, more realistic shield gameplay with generators and emitters, shield emitters are a big one, and our upcoming crafting system will further deepen engineering. It was important to bring engineering into the verse now so we can begin refining the experience in the live environment. They could probably go on and on about that they do genuinely need to have engineering in the game just so that the systems work with it. I think if they had dropped engineering into the game in the way that it is now 3 years ago, nobody would have cared at all. But people are expecting a little better polish now because expectations have changed without the game itself changing that much. Like, the game has become more playable, but the functionality is still not incredibly deeper than it used to be. And that functionality is only going to destabilize the game as it gets brought in, you know? So this was the problem that people were like, this is going to happen regardless. They go and they do a year of playability. At some point, they're going to have to drop in features, and those features may or may not be fully complete because they just have to get into the game. And as much as the EPTU, I would love for this to be what saves us from that. Clearly, it's not good enough. Like, EPTU, it looks like it's going to be used to make sure the feature works. And then they're going to throw it in live because live is for testing too. And the faster they can bang out these problems, the faster we can get to a real game. Let's move on. Finally, as a Christmas surprise, we quietly released an experimental VR mode in Alpha 4.5. What began as a passion project quickly caught people's attention, and the response from those who have tried it has been genuinely exciting. Can I just point out also the actual... Not only was it a passion project, but the people who are passionate about it are ridiculously supportive. Look at this dev tracker response thread. Okay, look at Ali Brown, Sylvan, and Yogi Klatt answering graphics questions and VR questions, and you can just keep scrolling back, dude. Look at these are all separate replies to different people on the forums, going all the way back. I'm still not at 4 days back. Look at this. You have to come all the way down here to get to any other developers talking about anything. These guys are really, really passionate's the right word, but like dedicated. And I do think that there is potential for Star Citizen to be a VR showcase. I'm not crazy about VR. I might try it. I would love to test out one of these upcoming headsets. I love the head tracking and the eye tracking, and then it'd be cool to have a more immersive version of that. But I know it'll always be niche. You know, it's always going to be like the less popular way of experiencing a game, at least until we're all living in VR. But being the standout game to experience VR on could go a really long way for a game, right? Everywhere that it gets demoed in all of the different like shopping malls, on the computers and the TVs, the commercials, even when, you know, you go to like these VR experience places, we're going to one tonight to experience the moon landing, you'll see Star Citizen and people are going to be like, what is that? That looks sick. And that's the best way Star Citizen sells itself ever, always. He said that approach takes more effort, the one for the VR, but it makes the experience feel grounded and real, and it highlights the value of those design choices in a way few other technologies can. He said this because they physicalize almost everything, keeping first and third person views consistent in a shared universe, which is a bigger problem than you would think. Being able to experience ships, environments, and equipment at true scale with natural movement and directional audio adds a level of immersion that's difficult to capture on a traditional display. All the details we put into our environment, props, ships, and gear really pays off when you're close and personal. I've heard this true of Elite Dangerous, not just Star Citizen. You get into VR and everything changes in scale. Everything feels bigger. I was standing next to a train locomotive the other day, and I've been next to trains before. I've seen them plenty of places. I've been next to them, but it doesn't matter. Once you stand like right up next to one and put your hand on it, you're like, holy f***, these things are big. and I don't get that really from the ships in Star Citizen on a display, but I hear when you hop into VR, it is unmatched. This is still an early and experimental step, and there's plenty we want to improve. We need to continue dialing in the diegetic UI so it feels comfortable and readable in VR. Refine FPS controls so your input controls your body rather than where you're looking. Okay, but I also still want to control where I'm looking. And they want to add more dedicated controller support. That's a big one. Actually, something that I've seen start popping up. Some controller support has lost some functionality in 4.5. I was just talking to somebody on Twitter about it, and there is an issue council for it. I don't know what it is, but it's made it a little bit more difficult to use controllers in the game, and I want to see them make it easier, because I like controllers. And honestly, if I knew I could play this game easily with controller, I would more. He said they're solvable problems and ones we are excited to tackle. We're happy to see them tackled. It's also worth mentioning that the new VR mode would not be possible without the engine and graphics work happening behind the scenes. Ongoing optimization efforts by our core technology group and our transition to Vulkan have made a meaningful difference, and without that work, I don't think VR would be running as smoothly in its first iteration. All of this combined, actually, the dev who worked on the engineering, the VR work, Sylvan, he specifically said, I think it was 3 years ago now, he said that it wasn't until Vulkan came into the game that he was going to try and start pushing a VR mode. So it's right on time. For it being a passion project that is extra, he got that in there quick. That was nice. All of this combined with a hard focus on bug fixing and quality of life features has made Star Citizen more fun, stable, and playable than ever. And the numbers back it up. All right, let's see. Just to clarify again, this is true. I think it's good to note, it's not a high bar. For Star Citizen to be more fun, stable, and playable is truly not a high bar. Okay, this game has struggled for a long time. And for people who are looking at this from the perspective of never playing Star Citizen, this isn't going to mean much to you because it's still going to play worse than a game that you would expect. This is a statement for people who have played this game in the past or who have been playing it over the last couple years, because it is true from that perspective, but they still have a long way to go. And, you know, don't get that twisted. I think that's important. Now, the numbers. We had a record-setting engagement this year. With more than 64 million hours played in Star Citizen, up from 48 million in 2024, you set new records in peak concurrency and unique daily users, and we saw huge increases in every metric, including 40 to 60% increases in average daily users and average peak concurrency. We also saw huge improvements in server stability with 57% fewer player disconnections per 1 million player hours compared to 2024. 2025 was truly the year of playability for Star Citizen. It better not end with that's it. That doesn't tell us much. I mean, plenty of work hours. It's funny that they gave us the specifics when it comes to work hours, but none when it comes to players. That annoys me to no end, dude. 40 to 60% increase in average daily users. What if the daily users was like 1,000 in 2024? 40 to 60% is great. You know, that does say that this year was better than last year. No matter what, we saw that from our own gameplay, and it's nice to know that that was reflected on the raw data side. That means that what we're seeing is not just fake numbers, right? The popular thing to do is to come to this and go to the Citizens new count list of the year, which it does say is above previous years. It's now the second best year after 2022, which is great, bringing in a total of, what's the freaking number? 684,000 new members. So the popular thing to do is look at that and say, well, it's all fake accounts, it's all second accounts. But like, this is good data. This does tell us that there is a significant increase in the amount of play that's going on. But like, what's the only thing that we're going to have to go off of is up here where he said that it was tens of thousands of players concurrent every day. Tens of thousands of players. I need that validated. That's a crazy number. That's so many people. I know maybe it sounds a little shallow that I care that much about numbers, but like, that would be actually nuts for a game that we're all wondering whether or not it's going to do okay. For them to be hitting those kinds of numbers right now would be nuts. So looking at Steam charts, I don't know what this hours played number is. Is this in the last, oh, this is the last 30 days. So like 64 million divided by 12, what is that? Like, or so, 5 point something. So like, you're looking at games that have around 5 million hours played in the last month. This is an average too. It's not ideal. Detroit Become Human. Jesus, a lot of people are still playing Detroit Become Human. Good for them. That's pretty solid. It's putting you around Counter-Strike, which has 12,000 daily players and a peak of 14,000. It's putting you around F1 2025 at 12,000 unique players, 16,000 on the peak over the last 24 hours. So like, you're kind of sitting around here, it seems. And there are so many variables that I'm not going to try and say this is a direct comparison or that this makes a ton of sense. It's not so crazy for him to say that there are tens of thousands of people playing. I doubt it's every day. I doubt it's that consistent, because we have definitely our ups and downs throughout the year and even on a week by week basis. But the hours played is a little bit low, I would say, for the numbers that he's insinuating. Not to say that it's not true or anything. Either way, they're relatively healthy numbers. I think they're good numbers for Star Citizen. And I think they probably are better numbers than most people would believe for Star Citizen, especially people outside of the community. But I can't wait until we get some more official, more reliable numbers on that. Good numbers for a game not on Steam, for a game considered a scam very widely, for a game that's probably one of the more... To be quite honest, this is one of the more made fun of games in existence at this point. Like, I can be watching my regular news gaming content on Skill Up about the Game Awards or about just like the news of the industry, and randomly it'll come up that something Star Citizen. I'm like, dude. So yeah, for a game that's in the position that it is and the reputation that it has, those are good numbers. And I think if they are true, they can definitely capitalize on them next year for sure. Look at those numbers Ashes hit in that amount of time. Where is it? Ashes of Creation, 3 million? Yeah, but they just started. Honestly, that's pretty impressive. They haven't even been around for that long, and it's already doing great numbers. Obviously, a lot of that might be because it's new, but we shall see. Here's Escape from Tarkov. That's a really good one to look at. This game's doing phenomenal for itself. 25,000 active users, 42,000 peak in the last 24, 18 million hours in the last month. That's good stuff. Use SteamDB for charts. Are there different websites for tracking this stuff? Do they not pull from the same numbers? Ashes of Creation. No, it has about the same numbers still. Actually, I think this is higher. Escape from Tarkov. The 24-hour peak is lower. Yeah, so they're different numbers. Unless I was looking at all-time peak on the other website. No Man's Sky is about the same, though. Yeah, I mean, I know the game's been around for years, but obviously I meant new on Steam. Tarkov's a bad example. Most players use the launcher. It doesn't get integrated into Steam numbers. It's still doing great Steam-wise. Even if that's not, if this isn't all of the people, this is fantastic on there. I'm guessing there are quite a few of these games that probably launch through different launchers. People playing on consoles and in different environments. This is just getting Steam numbers, guys, so it won't be fully indicative of everything that's going on in the gaming world. Let's see here. It says, on the Squadron 42 front, our focus throughout 2025 was to build on the progress of 2024 and what we showed at last year's CitizenCon by bringing the game to content complete and closing out remaining core tasks in preparation for beta. All chapters are now fully playable from beginning to end. Hell yeah, dude. We're back at 2020. We got it. I swear, wasn't that a statement? I know obviously the game went through like changes after that. They probably scrapped some stuff. But we literally got this same statement in 2019, I think, or 2020. He says, we've been playing through the game ourselves regularly. Squadron 42 is a large game, over 40 hours in length. And it's becoming increasingly clear how special it will be once the remaining polish, optimization, and bug fixing is complete. A big part of what makes this possible is the technology we've built at CIG over many years. The ability to move seamlessly from on foot into a vehicle, you can fly and move around inside, down to a planet or across star systems, all without loading screens, creates a level of immersion that's very difficult to replicate. That combination of close-up interactions and galactic scale is at the core of what will make Squadron 42 so unique. Equally important is the quality of the content itself. From writing and performance capture to characters, environments, ships, lighting, sound, cinematics, and design. The level of care across the entire game is something I'm incredibly proud of. Combined with deeply interactive systems, it creates an experience that pulls you into the world and keeps you there. If it sounded like I was going to continue reading after that, that's because I expect there to be more said here about Squadron 42. What did I say about this being pretty milquetoast? Man, what is this? What is this update on Squadron 42? Basically, this is the update. This sentence. All chapters are fully playable, and we're playing through it. And it's large. Oh, it's just... I mean, I know I said it at the beginning of this, that it was going to be a little bit of nothing, but... I mean, at least, hey, he didn't say anything about it not making it in 2026. That's good. No delay. Let's keep going. Let's see what else there is. Community. What continues to mean the most to us is the community that has grown alongside this journey. You have given us your time, shared your perspectives, and chosen to take part in something that is truly bigger than all of us. It is the next great adventure where millions of like-minded explorers get to live among the stars, and we could not ask for a better crew. Throughout the year, hundreds of Star Citizen events took place around the world. We did a garden gathering. I don't know, but it's a CitizenCon watch party. They were creating spaces where stories were shared, friendships were formed, cookies were delivered, and a shared passion for this universe came to life. We were fortunate enough to attend 24 of these in person, and each one was a reminder of the care and creativity you bring to this community. These moments matter. They help keep us grounded in why we do what we do, and they continue to inspire and motivate us in ways that are truly rewarding. Hey, CIG, once you have your blow-up moment, if you do, don't forget about this part. I want to be like, I never got to go to bar events with the Halo devs or the Mass Effect folks or even the people who are working on Satisfactory. I don't know if they do that. They might, but I do think this is a genuinely valuable part of this, is keeping up with the community, and I hope that they keep this going even after, if they make it big. The same energy carried through online. You organized race events, watch parties, social meetups, and more throughout the year, bringing people together no matter the time zones or continents. CitizenCon Direct was a standout moment for us, with dozens of watch parties happening around the world simultaneously. Despite the distance between us, it genuinely felt like we were more connected than ever. Thank you for the time, patience, and passion you continue to share with us. Whether you joined us at an event, helped us test a build on the PTU, organized a gathering, or simply spent time experiencing the universe with others, you're at the center of our ambition and what makes this entire journey possible. Thank you, everybody. If you did come to our garden gathering, we appreciate you. Wonderful members of the Star Citizen, screw that, the garden community, the Toes Gang. On from the community and on to the future. Eye on the horizon. Let's see if this has anything to wiggle our toes at. Looking ahead to 2026, our focus remains clear. We'll continue crafting, sorry. getting ahead of myself. We'll continue improving stability and depth in Star Citizen while expanding and connecting core systems that shape how you play. From engineering to inventory, crafting, social tools, and other foundational features. Yes, please, social tools. Alongside expanding the playable universe itself. Server meshing will become dynamic. In 2026? Allowing the mesh to I guess it has to, because they're planning on launching instances in 2026. This will be allowing the mesh to reconfigure in real time based on player activity and server load. This is the golden goose, my friends. This is the good stuff. Okay, this is the nice, perfect first fries you get on the top of the pile. Yes, not soggy, dude. This is the good pizza, non-soggy pizza. You fold it up. It's not too greasy. Eating it. It's not burning the inside of your mouth. Ooh, wee. Dynamic meshing is the good stuff. That's where they actually are doing something that could be considered an industry first, at least at the scale that they're doing it at. Dynamic server meshing is basically going to allow for a server to change size as it needs. Like if, let's say, as of right now, we have 700 people split between Stanton, Nyx, and Pyro. But if you sent all 700 of those people into Stanton, it would all get super laggy, right? The different parts of the system where people were concentrated would be laggy. But if they all went to Microtech, 200 of them were up at Port Tressler, 200 of them were down at New Babbage, and 200 of them were spread across the planet. You could have separate servers spin up to take care of those people separately so that they're not all putting the load on one big server. And that will make it so that even more people can be in one place than we have right now, right? Before, we had one server for all the people in Stanton. Now we have 3 servers, I think, for Stanton, or 4 maybe. But eventually we could have 10 if they needed. Now that would be expensive, and I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but that's kind of what dynamic server meshing is supposed to do. The important part of this, and I talked to Grollo about this on a podcast a few weeks ago, the key part of this is that when a server spins up, it's not just splitting 2 servers off. It's creating a server inside of another server. So it can nest servers. That way, even if a server is created for you and your group in the space station Port Tressler, it's still within the larger Microtech server. And so as soon as you need to, you can lose that inner server and you're back in with everybody else. And that's how it allows basically for the game to never have a server that's misperforming. That's the theory. Who knows how it's actually going to work? A lot of server stuff. We'll see if it follows through, but it's supposed to expand the game quite a bit. It'll probably help with optimization, and it'll let them do more instanced content, which a lot of people are looking for so they don't get bothered when they're doing story missions. All right. He says that this evolution is foundational to supporting the large-scale group experiences we've always envisioned and will enable us to expand the universe even further. Our goal is to have thousands of players in the same shared universe instance. Components, thousands is a decrease from honestly what they wanted to do originally. Components of the server meshing system are also being leveraged to deliver instanced areas and experiences, allowing our designers to craft balanced content that integrates seamlessly into the universe. As we expand outward, we're also building deeper. Genesis planets represent our next step in planetary tech, offering breathtaking worlds with significantly improved graphical fidelity and denser, more dynamically assembled biomes. These planets are driven by the rules of nature and our designers, creating ecosystems that feel alive and authentic. Combined with Starcatech locations throughout, Genesis planets deliver both the environmental depth and the gameplay density we need. Supporting this will be a new AI population management tool system that creates inhabitants appropriate to their local environment and enables more complex interactions between agents. They haven't really talked about this, at least not lately. This is the first time we're really hearing anybody mention this in the new world of Star Citizen's development, post 4.0, we'll say. So we'll see if they cover this anymore in like monthly reports or something, but that's a key call out. This approach to building living, breathing planets is key to scaling the game to the heights we are aiming for. For Squadron 42, our priority remains quality and polish as we move towards beta and release. We're confident in the direction the game is headed and are fully focused on delivering. We know many of you are eager to play and are looking forward to putting it in your hands. We don't plan on a long drawn-out marketing campaign as we've already done our fair share of trailers and gameplay previews. Okay. When it's time, you and the rest of the gaming world will hear a lot more from us. Okay, so letting us know that there's not going to be a long drawn out marketing campaign at least is I think probably his main way of saying we're still planning for 2026. We just haven't started marketing it yet. Thank you for continuing to share your time, your feedback, and your passion for this universe. Star Citizen and Squadron 42 exist because of all of you, and that is something I will never take for granted. From all of us at Cloud Imperium Games, we wish you a happy holiday season and a great start to the new year. All right, so this isn't outright saying that there's no delay. It's not like you have to say there's no delay. You actually shouldn't probably say that. I would take this as confirmation that like we understand it looks weird that we haven't started a full Squadron 42 marketing push. Just stay tuned. No confirmation, but it's definitely, I would say, vocabulary pushing against the idea of a delay. That being said, nobody's going to say if they're trying to delay the game one way or another, unless I guess maybe you're Rockstar and you can just do that. Actually, I feel like with Rockstar, the news was probably going to come out sooner than later because of their legal issues with the union, or at least the to-be union. But it would be prudent to announce a delay by now if you were going to have one. So that is the letter from the chairman. Like I said, not incredibly exciting. Mostly a review of the year. Not a ton of like insider information, which how much can you expect? If you asked me to tell you what I expected to hear from this letter, I couldn't say exactly what. Just interesting stuff. I think that this was a really interesting look at the year ahead. But I also think that this probably put them in a bad spot because they put this out before 4.0 was really out. So even though he was already headed in the direction of the year of playability, I bet you if they had done this letter after their January meeting, they wouldn't have included this EPTU part because it's still kind of unsure. I'm sure they have some ideas for how they want to test and do their features and stuff this year, and there's more that they would want to say here, but I do appreciate there's restraint. Like I said, he has not been able to talk about things as much because of things that have been stated, and I'm glad that, you know, even when he is able to do these letters, it doesn't feel so crazy that I'm mistrusting a lot of it, except for this. Where was it? This tens of thousands of people thing. I want that validated and verified. Did I miss a sentence back here? What did I miss? The direction. Many of you are eager to play. No drawn out marketing. We're also upgrading core systems that have been with us for years. Oh, okay. As part of our item recovery work, inventory, insurance, and cross-patch persistence are all getting significant improvements. The focus is on making it easier to interact with your belongings while improving the stability and speed of these systems overall. These are integral parts of any MMO experience. Yeah, I mean, these are... Insurance is the interesting one mentioned here. All of these make sense for what we're seeing. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm sorry to say it, but I expected them to get item recovery T2 in by the end of the year, but they need crafting for it. To be honest, when they first announced item recovery tier 0, yeah, I was definitely thinking, hey, this shouldn't be too long. 6 months, maybe 6-7 months. So I would be disappointed if they weren't doing item recovery stuff next year. The inventory we know is coming. I'm surprised actually we haven't gotten that in testing either, but I'm glad that they're making good progress on that. Insurance is cool. Cross-patch persistence is great. Yeah. Focus on making it easier to interact with your belongings while improving the stability. You know what would have been probably the best thing to include here would have been suit lockers. Like if they had said item recovery, inventory, suit lockers, insurance, and cross-patch, that would have been beautiful. But yeah, they're working on some of the systems, the same systems we've been seeing. Monthly reports are a great way to keep up with those, I think. Ultimately, it's an update of a letter. We're now going to go and look at the last year's letter, along with everything else that's happened throughout 2025. So, hope you got a good recap here, and enjoyed the looky-loo. Now, before you go, I want to say, virtual reality is pretty awesome, and it's one of the biggest tech advancements in the game in 2025. But I have a message from the Tobii Eye Tracker 5, and it's that your neck is delicate and headsets are heavy. Now, I say this because the eye tracker gives an experience that isn't similar to VR, but it's kind of light. It tracks your eyes and your head movement and how close you are to the computer monitor. It doesn't put you in a virtual world, but it definitely lets you feel more like you're sitting in the cockpit of your spaceship. It allows you to target individual ships, scan off-axis targets, and control your camera and head entirely separately from the rest of your body anywhere in game. It integrates with missile systems, weapon systems, and all other kinds of things that work really natively in Star Citizen. It runs well in the dark, it works in the light, and if you have glasses or even just one eye, you're good. And it can actually act as a very expensive security device too, validating with Windows Hello to log you into your computer, validate your payments, and help you multitask. I personally love the thing, and while this video is sponsored by Tobii, you can rest assured if you have your mouse, keyboard, and maybe a HOTAS, I would definitely still recommend one of these regardless. Currently, there is a 20% discount on the device through January 6th if you use the link down below. But if you do see this later or need a moment to think, you can still use that link later and my code TOMATO at checkout to get 5% off if you want to try one out. The return program is pretty good too if you decide you don't like it. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video, learned something new in it, and I'll catch you in the next.